Hey Internet, welcome to Worldview Everlasting, your favorite YouTube addiction. Check it out.
What if I told you Jesus came to abolish religion?
And I straight up ask you, who gave you that notion? Where do you get off speaking up for the man risen for the dead without bothering to quote a single word that he said? Yo, he didn't come to abolish the law but to fulfill it. He came to bring true religion, man, not to kill it.
What if I told you voting Republican really wasn't his mission?
I'd ask you who said it was, and what's that chip on your shoulder? The argument you're making couldn't get any older. When I vote Republican, it ain't to get out of Hades. I just can't stand, killing babies. But really, the kingdom ain't like this. But then don't go taking religion and spike this.
What if I told you Republican doesn't automatically mean Christian, and just because you call some people blind doesn't automatically give you vision?
I'd agree with you, man. Republican ain't Christian, but the pot looks a little black next to the kettle in this edition. When you're ragging on judgment, you're judging as a ragger. So don't get all high and mighty, casting stones as a beggar. I'm with you, yo-yo. You want to be a Democrat, cool. But that don't mean loving religion make you a fool.
I mean, if religion is so great, why has it started so many wars?
Religion don't start wars, yo. It's people that do. But while you're at it, I'd ask you, where you getting your sources? Show me which American war was religious in its courses. Oh, you gonna blame Iraq on the Christian right? That's fine, yo, but don't assume that religion made that fight. That's all politics, that's all anger, that's all greed, and that's all sin. And Jesus' religion, it ain't about killing Bin Laden. Why the wars come around? Cause we fallen men, yo. Will to power, lips of vipers, doing evil, we're pro.
Why does it build huge churches but fails to feed the poor?
Once again, I'm just wondering, you've been reading your Lord? Poor you'll always have with you, but you cling to my word. Gather in the assembly, receive my body and blood, then go out, love your neighbor. But no, won't do any good. It'll help one or two. But this world like a garment, rolling up, moth-eaten, bloodied, with far worse than vomit. Where you get all these hospitals? Where'd the welfare state come from? Was religion that did it, yo? And it still didn't fix nothing.
Tell single moms God doesn't love them if they've ever had a divorce, but in the Old Testament, God actually calls religious people whores.
Like to see the quote on that one. Religious people whores? False religion maybe, yo, but that don't make your argument flow. Single moms need our mercy, as does every sinner out there. Don't make divorce right, and your argument's still hot air.
Religion might preach grace, but another thing they practice.
That's called hypocrisy.
Tend to ridicule God's people. They did it to John the Baptist.
Who pointed you to Christ, who came preaching grace.
Might preach grace, preach grace.
Who pointed you to Christ.
They can't fix their problems, and so they just mask it, not realizing religion's like spraying perfume on a casket.
What's religion? You ain't even defined it. You're trumped up on wordplay, semantics, and your audience don't mind it because they want to be spiritual but not religious. Yo, no. But it's a false dichotomy you're building with a history of broken Christianity in tow.
See, the problem with religion is it never gets to the core. It's just behavior modification like a long list of chores.
Not my religion, yo. It's regenerated my world. Broke this heart of stone, justification unfurled. My religion, the one taught by Jesus, it's a gift, utter mercy. Kills my sin and then frees us from the tyranny of Satan, sin, death, and destruction. I still don't know what you're knocking, but I say you got some gumption.
Like, let's dress up the outside, make it look nice and neat. But it's funny, that's what they used to do to mummies while the corpse rots underneath. Now I ain't judging.
Yeah, you are. Dude.
Now I ain't judging.
You totally are. Don't play false humility. That's a joke. You're attacking the word religion for no good reason at all.
I'm just saying, quit putting on a fake look. Because there's a problem if people only know that you're a Christian by your Facebook.
Oh, I see where you're going. It's a guilt trip. Yeah, sweet. So you're actually preaching from a pretty high seat.
Religion might preach grace, but another thing they practice.
And here's the irony, yo. This is what you always been doing. Take the evangel and squash it. Take the gospel and ruin the idea that it's free by saying it's about what you do, which is what got you so angry in the first place. That true?
I mean, in every other aspect of life, you know that logic's unworthy. It's like saying you play for the Lakers just because you bought a jersey. See, this was me too, but no one seemed to be on to me. Acting like a church kid while addicted to pornography.
Yeah, dude. Pornography's a messed up issue. It's ruining our culture, no doubt about it. Conviction, it's important. Telling people that sin is real, no doubt. But are you a Christian because you don't look at pornography? That'd be like saying you're a Laker because you wear the jersey.
See, on Sunday I'd go to church, but Saturday getting faded, acting if I was simply created to just have sex and get wasted. See, I spent my whole life building this facade of neatness, but now that I know Jesus, I boast in my weakness.
Really? Sounds like you're boasting and leaving behind things and getting stronger. Saying your religion and meaning your action is what Jesus actually taught as the answer to your problems. I mean, really, it just sounds like you're boasting.
Because if grace is water, then the church should be an ocean. It's not a museum for good people, it's a hospital for the broken.
See, the grace is the water. This baptism now saves you. And the church is the place where this giving out raises you. But you're twisting it around. You're saying it's about us. That I, as a human, gotta actually be Jesus. That's messed up, yo, and it's more religious than you think. You're preaching the law as if it's the gospel, and it's gonna make you sink.
Which means I don't have to hide my failure, I don't have to hide my sin, because it doesn't depend on me, it depends on Him. See, because when I was God's enemy, and certainly not a fan, He looked down and said, I want that man.
Now you're speaking my language, and that I can agree with. So are you actually gonna preach the cross? Wait and see.
Which is why Jesus hated religion.
No, that's not at all. That's why He is religion, yo. He fulfilled all that law on the cross, nailed the debt. What He hates is hypocrisy. What He hates is when you lie. What He hates is when you say, I believe, but you don't. He looked down on you, no doubt, saw your sin, came and took its place, let it be pierced into Him. And on the night He was betrayed, He said, take and eat this. This is how I choose you. This is how I bind. This can't miss. But it's religion, and there's no way around it. Do this in remembrance is exactly how He founded it. It's an institution. It's a rock. And it's for faith alone. But you're still dogging religion, and I ain't liking your tone.
Now let me clarify. I love the church, I love the Bible, and yes, I believe in sin. But if Jesus came to your church, would they actually let Him in?
Here's the thing, yo. Jesus is at my church every week. Word is preached, sacraments given, kingdom coming as we seek, through faith alone to eat this grace, be washed in mercy, and hear the truth of our creed. You say you love the church? Sounds like you love deeds.
But the Son of God never supports self-righteousness, not now, not then. I boast. See, this was me too. See, I spent my whole life, like, let's dress up the outside, make it look nice and neat. Now I ain't judging. I mean, if religion is so great, now I ain't judging. Why does it build huge churches? Now I ain't judging. I boast. See, this was me too, but no one seemed to be on to me.
I mean, am I missing something here?
Now back to the point, one thing is vital to mention, how Jesus and religion are on opposite spectrums. See, one's the work of God, but one's a man-made invention. See, one is the cure, but the other's the infection.
Still waiting for a quote. Once again, yo, and I'm done with the rhyming. You're defining religion as something it's not, in order to sound like you got this new thing to sell, this great invention you've come up with, which is a spirituality that isn't religious. Now, if this hadn't been gone through not only in the 1960s, but in the 1880s and in the 1500s, maybe you'd win me over. But your argument is old and tired, and frankly, you're just dissing the very thing you're trying to build. Religion ain't the problem, man's the problem. Us. And without Christ's religion, we are nothing but dust to dust.
See, because religion says do, Jesus says done.
Now I can hear your language, but only very slightly, because the law says do this. Jesus says it's finished rightly. But this ain't about religion. You gotta get off this horse. You gotta walk a new path. You gotta set a new course and recognize that Jesus' religion is actually what you're preaching. If you don't like hypocrisy, then stop overreaching and quit the gimmicks. Turn off the twist, because Jesus equals religion. That's because God done this.
Religion says slave. Jesus says son.
Once again, yo, you mean the law? I agree with you totally. The law.
As slave, Jesus says son.
The law.
Puts you in bondage while Jesus sets you free.
The law.
Makes you blind, but Jesus makes you see. And that's why
the law
and Jesus are two different clans.
Well, not exactly, because He came to fulfill it. Not kill it, we uplift it, we uphold it, we still seek it.
Religion is man searching for God. Christianity is God searching for man.
Christianity is a religion.
Which is why salvation is freely mine, and forgiveness is my own. Not based on my merits, but Jesus' obedience alone.
Jesus' obedience to true religion.
Because He took the crown of thorns and the blood dripped down His face. He took what we all deserved. I guess that's why you call it grace.
And you're right, yo, I like this. You're preaching the gospel. Just wish you weren't knocking out the foundation from underneath.
And while being murdered, He yelled, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Because when He was dangling on that cross, He was thinking of you.
Sweet.
And He absorbed all your sin and He buried it in the tomb, which is
why baptism now saves you. Not the washing of dirt from a forehead, but the promise of a good conscience in God's sight.
So for religion, no, I hate it. In fact, I literally resent it.
That's too bad, because what you resent is evangelicalism, and I'm afraid you're still stuck in the middle of it.
Because when Jesus said, "It is finished," I believe he meant it.
True. Sounds like you need to discover Lutheranism. Now, I appreciate the video, I appreciate the work you did, but really, this argument that religion is somehow antithetical to Jesus is truly the falsest dichotomy you could ever create in the world. Jesus did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it, and yet that law is still here, and it is still true, and it is still to be preached and taught. It doesn't mean it's the way of salvation. In fact, it's the opposite of that. And law and gospel are two separate words, separated by a chasm that cannot be breached, but they are both true. The law says do this, and it is never done. Jesus says believe this, and it is done already. You like that distinction? Then you love Lutheranism. But when you start bashing the idea that Christianity can actually be shared, that it's a public event, that is bigger than just your personal inside spiritual journey, when you start attacking the corporate reality of Christianity by knocking that word religion, you aren't doing anyone any favors, and you're setting up a path that will very swiftly steal the gospel you claim to love. Hey, yo, now maybe that was unfair of me, I don't know, but tell you what, that video made me sick in spite of the fact that it preached the gospel. That's because when it preached the law, it didn't attack me, it attacked my mother, the church.